One benefit that my students get from blended instruction that they couldn't get elsewise is that using some of these virtual tools, we're able to do things for our students and enable them to do things that would either be impossible or just extremely difficult in the classroom with pen and paper. One of those things for me is called reading rate. It's a simple calculation of how many pages you read and the time that you spend reading. For my students, one of the things I noticed is that I was battling students taking these random typing tests online in the middle of class. I was going around helping students and I could just hear furious typing going on in another part of the room. And so I'd come over and I'd ask the student what they were doing, and they would kind of shy and coyly tell me I was taking a typing test. And I asked, "Hey, how fast are you?" And, "Oh, I'm this." And, "Oh, how much better are you getting?" And, "Oh, I'm getting so much better." And those conversations taught me about student desire for real-time feedback on their performance. I'd done this in the past, and I'd talked to some friends of mine that were other teachers, and I said, what if we could use a digital tool that would give this to them like those typing tests would? And so what I did is I created a Google Sheet called Reading Rate. And I published this sheet for every single student. That's pretty easy to do in Canvas and Google Classroom. You just make a copy of a Google Sheet for every student. But what that sheet does is it allows the student to input their number of minutes they spent reading, the number of pages they were able to read in that time. And I also ask them to include one comment about the reading that they were doing, because I understand, and the students should understand, and I work to teach them this, that if you're reading a very complex text, your reading rate's probably going to go down. If your interest in the text is low, your reading rate is probably going to go down. And all of those things matter, especially for low readers, I found. See, low readers, reading is a complex, rigorous cognitive process that requires every bit of their focus and energy, and it's exhausting for students who are low readers. And when they're done with it, there's no medal, there's no award, there's no sign dropping from the ceiling saying, "Congratulations, you're a smarter person when you're done." And I understand that makes them struggle with reading. So what this reading rate does is two things. One, especially for low readers, it helps them have immediate feedback and feedback over time. So they can look and see that their investment is paying off. They can see if they're reading a certain kind of book and that rate goes down, they have information about that. And if they have to get through a lot of pages, they can know not to choose those types of books. If they can see a book that they've been struggling through and they can watch their reading rate drop, we can talk about interest and engagement. And it gives me and the student much more information. And that information persists beyond my classroom door, and students are able to see that and to leverage that and to help motivate them to continue in this process that is so hard for them. The other thing that reading rate does is it allows us to do things that maybe we couldn't do inside the classroom with pen and paper. I'm able to lock certain cells so students can't modify them. The cell most important to lock is the one that performs the calculation. I can write a formula that returns their reading rate to them based on the data that they input. And students can't accidentally mess that up. They can't click in the wrong box and do the wrong thing. They can only click in certain boxes, and that improves their ability to do that with accuracy. Inside of the classroom, they'd all pull out calculators, and if they push a wrong button, the number comes back wrong, and that's confusing to them. So using this tool, I'm able to take away the difficulties of pen and paper and make this repeatable and accurate every time without the risk of doing it wrong. And I can give that feedback to my students, especially those struggling readers, to show them that their work is paying off and that they are getting better every day over time. And I can show them, hey, at the beginning of the year, this is where you were, but because you worked hard, look what you can do now. And that's powerful for students. We leverage these digital tools to make our teaching better than it could be without them. And the ones who win in the end are our students.